back in August.
Yes.
You hosted Stars in the House, which is very cool.
It was so cool.
And you gave a lot of background about Theater Raleigh. I mean, one thing about you is you're kind of modest. In all the times I've interviewed you guys, it's always about Theater Raleigh or the show, but it's never like about Lauren Kennedy Brady. But this whole Theater Raleigh thing, for people who don't know, started as, and I kind of remember this because I live in Cary. I live very close to Cocoa Booth Amphitheater. So it started as Hot Summer Nights, kind of run by your dad and your brother.
That's
and
absolutely right.
You were consulting, you were kind of behind the scenes.
Yes.
And then 8 years ago, you moved back to Raleigh, which is your hometown. You became the producing artistic director of this amazing theater. So and now you've got this beautiful space. So can you kind of walk me through, for people who don't know, the evolution of Theater Raleigh?
Sure. Absolutely. So like you said, my dad and my brother had conceived of Hot Summer Nights at the Kennedy, which was at the Kennedy Theater in the Duke Energy Center for the Performing Arts. And it's no secret that my dad helped raise money for that building. So in 2001, when they were adding the theaters on either side of Memorial Auditorium, they turned what used to be the North Carolina Theater rehearsal room and the symphony rehearsal space into a black box theater. And since my dad helped raise money, they put his name on it. And so nobody was really using it, and he was like, "This is a shame, it should be used." So he and my brother, who was a stage manager and also an actor at that time, conceived this idea to do a summer season of shows. And I thought it was so cool, so exciting. I had just had my daughter, so that's how long ago it was, over 16 years ago. And
Riley is driving now.
Riley is driving now. We're ready to get off the road. No, just kidding. She's actually a great driver. So she had just been born. I was sort of consulting them, sort of like you said, behind the scenes, and helping them cast people from New York and sort of making those kind of connections. And it was also my first time I had ever had a chance to direct. My brother Michael asked me if I wanted to direct his production of Romance, and then I just fell in love with the whole idea of directing, bringing together a group of artists, and it was just something I was a part of every year after that. And they only ran it for 3 summers, but I was a part of it sort of behind the scenes the whole time. And when they decided that they had other things to do with their lives, they both had other careers, and that it was a lot of trouble and a lot of work to produce theater, and it's really hard to make money. So they were like, "We're done with this," and I just felt like I wasn't done with it. So I said, "Oh my God, I'm going to take this over if that's cool." And my dad was a little bit like, "That's weird. Oh, you're working on Broadway. Why would you do that?" And I think he was very tentative about me doing it. But I was very clear I wanted to do it, and I wanted to create theater and also create with writers new works and sort of elevate other artists that I knew in this area and in New York. So it just seemed like a natural fit for me. And I ran it from New York for about 4 years. Then I moved down 8 years ago and was like, okay, this is what I'm doing with my life now. And that's when we became a 501c3 in 2014. So, I can't do math, however long ago that was. 6 years ago. And it's just like we've been just trying to grow and adapt ever since.
I love it. And then now we're sitting here in this beautiful space, which will be your permanent home. Still work in progress, but we're going to take a mini tour, which is going to be very exciting. Did you ever have the dream as a kid? I know you were a performing arts kid. I know you went to Broughton, and you had this Broadway career, but did it ever cross your mind that I want to have my own theater?
It never crossed my mind. It was never even a thought in my head. Which is weird because I do now give a lot of credit to Deanne Jones and some people in those early days that were super influential to me. And now all I want to do is be like Deanne Jones and have this theater and throw cast parties and and lift up artists in this area. But at that point I didn't know it. I just was singularly focused on wanting to be on Broadway. And so that's all I cared about. My family will tell you I was not a very good student and I didn't care about learning anything that didn't have anything to do with singing, dancing, and acting. So I just wanted to be on Broadway. And it wasn't even like I wanted to be a Broadway star. Just wanted to be in the community. I kept thinking about how I wanted to work with actors. I wanted to be successful, like, in the community. Because I would see people coming from New York who were making their living as actors, coming and working at the North Carolina Theater. And I was like, that's what I want to be. I don't have to be a star. I just want to work.
You just want to work.
And I want to be a working actress, you know?
I think it's so interesting because I think there's so many young people who aspire to be a performer, and the holy grail for so many musical theater people is Broadway. But I kind of love the fact that with North Carolina Theater and the other Playmakers, Theater Raleigh, the professional companies we have in town, you don't have to really go to Broadway to live the dream and perform. So can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think a lot of people think the way you did growing up. You know, Broadway's it. I just want to go there.
Well, yeah, I think you're right, because it does seem to be the penultimate. It's like the major leagues of our industry. But, you know, what I've learned as I've gotten older is that doing theater on Broadway is exactly the same as doing theater at the North Carolina Theater or Raleigh Little Theater or Theater in the Park or Playmakers or Theater Raleigh. You're still with a group of artists who are putting together a show for an audience. And, you know, maybe there's more money involved, obviously, more pressure on Broadway, but it's the same thing. You get the same rush, you get the same excitement about being in the room. I love being in the room. It doesn't matter where the room is, as far as I'm concerned. And I will say, again, what I've said a number of times, so, like, sorry if I'm repeating myself, but the best part about being on Broadway is walking through the stage door. Once you're on the other side, you're just doing a show, just like anywhere else. So it's like walking down Schubert Alley and going through the stage door of the Music Box Theater or wherever you are. That's when you're like, oh, I'm on Broadway, that dream I always had. But once you're inside, you're doing your work.
You're just doing it.
And you're being an artist. And what I love about Raleigh is I think that there's a lot of opportunity to work as a professional actor. All those places that you mentioned. Let's don't forget, like, also Temple Theater and all the theaters in Greensboro, Winston-Salem,
Cape Fear Regional,
Cape Fear Regional and Fayetteville. This area is really, really rich in talent and has a lot of opportunities for professional artists. So to me, that's exciting because I think you can work and live here and work at a high level and not have to go to Chicago, Seattle, or New York for that matter.
And I really hope, I mean, you and Charlie and I have had many conversations about this in your living room, about how really Raleigh should be more of an arts destination, because there are so many professional performers, professional musicians living here.
Well, I think we will be. If we're not now, we're certainly on track to be. And, you know, creating this new venue is part of that. You know, I want Theater Raleigh and this new theater space to be part of helping other smaller theaters, burgeoning theaters, have a space where they can do their shows, and we can really create some synergy and creative energy where people want to be here.
And space is a hot commodity around here. I can't tell, I mean, I've done so many interviews with smaller companies who have said, yeah, we have great seasons planned, we just need the space.
So
so
where
where are we gonna do it? So
I mean, yes, and COVID not related, it's hard to find space, and right now we don't know if we're going to be able to do anything indoors or not, you know, so we're hoping that this space, which is not done yet, will be available for people to rent sort of in smaller areas with practice rooms and the big, crazy, pre-existing space in January, but we will be dividing it and doing this sort of major architectural upfit, either in the spring, depending on what COVID says to us, or next fall.
yeah. I'm very mindful of the fact, because I've done a lot of these interviews and I've spoken to a lot of artistic directors behind the scenes. You know, I think everybody in our creative community right now is putting on a really happy face. You know, I think at the beginning everybody was really mindful, like, oh, theaters have shut down, this is so terrible. And now everybody's kind of inching closer to reopening, inching closer to doing live performances. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I also don't want the public to lose sight of the fact that our creative industry is really suffering right now. And so I guess I want to take a moment and talk about how COVID has affected you guys. You had a fabulous season planned. We should be seeing Chicago right now.
Yes.
And so how has COVID impacted Theater Raleigh financially, emotionally? Because I think there's a lot of emotional bandwidth right now too.
Yes.
So.
Well, it's affected Theater Raleigh in every possible way. Everything from, we had to let 4 of our beloved staff members go, and we only had 7 people anyway, so now we've got 3, including me. So we've had to let most of the staff go, and that's really sad. We had, part of it was that we were unable to do our summer season, like you said, which was curated so specifically, and I'm so excited about it. Hopefully we'll be just moving it to 2021, but that revenue that you expect from the shows that you put on, and the summer series is our meat and potatoes. That's what we can kind of count on. So we didn't have any of that. What people I don't think that I'm tongue-tied. What I think people don't always think of is that there are still all these sort of administrative costs that go on whether we're doing shows or not. So we still have all our utilities, not only that we've added now here, but our rehearsal studios, all the, our phone lines we've had to keep up and going, even though we moved out of the Duke Energy Center, we still have our voicemail boxes, things like that. Our website, our project management software. Now we've added StreamYard and all the virtual programming, stuff that we have to pay.
Because you're running a television station out of your house.
We're not just a theater, but now we're a TV studio. And we've kept that up too, and we paid our artists during that time for the living room live shows. We paid artists all along the way, not only the people who are being interviewed, but the performers and also the pianists. So that's a cost. And I think too, emotionally, it's just been, that thing is untangible or intangible, I think is the right word. You miss the community, you miss the people that you show up and do shows with, and the excitement and the privilege that we have to create art, and none of that is a part of our day-to-day life. It's, like you said, we're just dipping our toe back into it now, but for 7 full months, we've just had 0 sort of social interaction and excitement about, creating art. And so that has taken an emotional toll. And you wonder where the light at the end of the tunnel is.
There is no end date. There's no okay, on this date, the hurricane will be over, things will be back in business. It's a really long, everybody keeps saying intermission, pause, but it's just a long hiatus.
It is. And with no end in sight, another thing that's been tricky for all theater companies is finding contributed income, because that is such a big part of what nonprofit theaters rely on. And so we've obviously lost our revenue, but since we're not doing shows, people aren't donating as much, and they're not sponsoring. We're not getting corporate sponsorships. So I have to be very grateful for the CARES Act and the PPP loan that have just been super helpful. North Carolina Arts Council, United Arts Council, and CORAC, Raleigh Arts have been incredibly helpful to companies like Theater Raleigh during this time.
So in the last 2 weeks, I've gone to 2 live shows, and I've been very mindful of safety measures put in place, which is really odd because I've gone to the theater in New York and London and here and never really thought about security and safety, but I did go to a production at Cape Fear, and they did everything humanly possible to keep the audience safe and to keep the actors safe, which was fantastic. You guys are doing a live concert in November. So what precautions are you taking to keep people safe? And you all are, you have equity people that work with you. You're an equity person, as well as community people that work with you. So what does equity say about starting up again?
So equity is not allowing contracts, very many. There have been a few regional regional theaters have been approved to do performances, of which have been highly publicized. But for the most part, equity has still not come to any real terms about how it's safe for actors to go back. Each theater has to present equity this is our COVID plan, and it has to be approved before you get your equity contracts for the actors. So that's something that we'll be working on as we gear up for our summer series
next
spring. But right now we're doing concerts, which are non-jurisdictional, which means we're hiring sort of contractors to do the shows. And for leading ladies, we have 3 local singers. Faith Jones, who I did ragtime with at Playmakers, who's amazing. She just graduated from UNC. We have Blair Thompson, who's worked at every theater in the area, from Cape Fear to Temple to North Carolina Theater to Theater Raleigh. She's amazing. We are going to be doing a live stream and a live concert hybrid here in this sort of massive space because we can socially distance like crazy. And we are only going to have 25 people in the audience because we have not asked for any special dispensation. We feel like that's a really good sort of toe dip for us.
Yeah.
So that's what we're ready for. That's what we think we can handle. We're going to have tables. We're going to space everybody out. Table pods will be 6 feet apart. They have to be 12 feet from the artists, so the audience can't be any closer than 12 feet. We're going to have hand sanitizing stations, temperature checks, required mask wearing. We're going to do the little 6 feet apart, decals on the floor, so when people line up to go in. We're also going to do timed entry. We're going to limit the time people are in here. Our filtration system, the air conditioning system is great. It's brand new, so that's good for us in terms of recycled air. And we're going to keep the show under 70 minutes, which seems to be that sort of magic number of
sweet spot.
Yeah. How long you can be in a room. But again, 25 people in this massive space. It's not like 25 people in, like a 20 by 20 room. This is really big. So
it is big.
We are hoping that it will be as safe as possible. And of course, for the actresses, the singers, they're not going to be using each other's microphones, so they're going to be wearing wireless mics, but they will also have handheld mics, but they'll be color coded. They won't share, they won't touch each other's stuff. They'll have a stool that'll be their stool, only they touch it. We're going to be, we have the PPP, we're spraying down everything, sanitizing everything before anybody comes and before and after every rehearsal. And again, temperature checks and keeping them distance backstage, and no props, no costumes that anybody else will have to change. They'll have probably 2 outfits that they'll change themselves.
Good.
So,
well, good.
That's
It sounds like there's a plan.
There's a plan in place.
And people will be wearing masks, which is good and important. And please just keep your mask on. Janetta Jackson, she plays Billie Holiday in the Cape Fear production of Lady Day, and everybody she's in has been really mindful about wearing masks. But don't take your masks off to cough.
That's right.
Cough with your mask on. You're also offering options for people to view, which is fantastic. So people who don't get one of those 25 seats can buy a ticket and watch virtually.
That's right. So honestly, you'll $20 for that link to watch the show live, and if you purchase ahead of time, you'll be able to watch live, which I think will be exciting for people to do because, as we know, we love live. Live theater is our art form, so that'll be exciting for people who tune in that night, but it'll also be on sale. We are selling a hybrid concert series with a holiday concert called A December to Remember, and we're doing another concert in February that Yolanda Raven we're co-producing with her, called Neither One of Us, which is Yolanda Sings Gladys.
Gladys.
Yeah. So if you buy a subscription, then you will have that link, and you can watch Leading Ladies whenever. As a matter of fact, you could watch it every night if you want to. It's just going to be there. You have access to it.
Some people may want to,
I mean,
because you've got 3 good
Oh,
voices.
these voices are amazing. Like, you will want to listen to it over and over again.
Do you, so Madam Producer, how difficult is it to produce not just a live concert, but then have this streaming piece of it?
Well, thank Lord in heaven for Charlie Brady and Eric Collins, because that's the team that we've brought together for Living Room Live. And they have learned a lot over this last sort of 8 months about live streaming and videography. I mean, it was something that Charlie was already really interested in anyway, and really, he took a deep dive. So I live streaming, it's the first time he'll be doing sound design for a room and also for a live concert, like a live streamed concert, which I think will be interesting. So he'll have to have two hats on. Like, does it sound good for the room, for the people who are listening here? And does it sound good for the people who are watching it at home?
So I'm looking. People are saying, "Can you see the comments?" If you are commenting, I can see some comments, but I'm just paying attention to what's happening, and it's literally me and Lauren. There's no team of people here. So we're not ignoring you, but so no, I can't really see the comments. But thank you, Juan. Juan's saying, "Can you see the comments?" So no, Juan, we can't. All right. So, and you will be on Torn tomorrow night with Juan.
Yeah.
So we should say that too.
Absolutely. Tune into Torn,
The
7:30.
Torn Thursday. Theater on Racist Negativity. That'll be at 7:30 on Facebook Live, and Juan Isler will be hosting. So can we go on a mini tour?
Yeah, let's go ahead and pick up your...
All right. Sorry, I don't mean to make you all motion sick, but we're going on a tour.
So we're going to make sure, so obviously this is the lobby. If you walked in through the doors here, the double doors. We have done mostly cosmetic work here. It was a church before, and they had 8-foot sort of low, sort of dropped ceiling, which we took out and we created this sort of, what I'm calling is kind of our art installation. It feels artistic to me, but they're called clouds, and it's just sort of a ceiling detail. As you can see behind me, this is where our bar will be. Chris Vernier, who's our technical director, is designing and creating this bar. And one of the things we're most excited about is we're going to get our beer and wine.
I was going to say, are there going to be drinks?
We're getting our liquor license. We're going to be able to sell drinks, concessions, water, Cokes, products, all that. Coffee, everything. So that's going to be a really fun part about that, because at the Duke Energy Center we were unable to do any of that. So it's a work in progress, like I said. These rooms over here, which right now are full of tools and wine fridges and all our bar tools. These are going to be outfitted for practice rooms, which we can rent to, like students, teachers, people who want to come in and work on an audition song or want to prepare for college, sort of board or jury or something. So we're going to have a number of those. This part here at the end, which is unfinished, we are going to, it's going to be part of actually phase 1.5. And there's actually going to be a wall here, right down here. So this will be all like a hallway, and so there's more practice rooms here. But there's going to be a pocket door which will open up, so you can reveal this room when we finish it. It'll be like, we can use it as a VIP room, or we can use it as a rehearsal hall. So we're going to finish it. We're going to put wallboard and paint it and paint the ceiling black like we did before. And this will be one of our rehearsal spaces. Obviously it's not done yet, but we're going to do it right away, because I also feel like if like when we're doing Theater Raleigh shows, we can expand the lobby, we can open up that pocket door, have like wine and like little section maybe for VIPs. Or again, if somebody's renting it, we're closing it, it'll be soundproof, and this will be a rehearsal room.
Very
So
cool.
that'll be super cool. And then we have right over here, it's not very cute to look at right now, but this I'm imagining is going to be like a green room for actors when they are using this rehearsal room, not only Theater Raleigh, but any of our other companies. We will put like TVs and like a sound system and like a sign-in board and couches and stuff, and that could be like a green room for the actors when they're here working.
Because if you've been to the Kennedy backstage, there's not a whole lot of room back there, and there's like laundry machines,
Yeah,
and so.
So there's not much to look at when I take you into our big pre-existing space, but you can have a little imagination.
You're theater people, you can imagine.
So I showed this on that video that we created. This is sort of how we're going to outfit this massive space I'm getting ready to show you. Of course, this is the lobby, and you can see that's the bar right there. So we're going to go into this space, and you'll see that it's completely open, but in the future, we're going to have a theater, another theater space / rehearsal room. That's the rehearsal room I was just showing you, / VIP space. We're going to have this big scene shop, costume shop, and then backstage area. So that try to kind of carry that with you as I take you into our big room. Bye, Ashley. So you come on in. This is the big, pre-existing sort of like 10,000 square foot space, right? So it's just nothing but an
Huge.
empty space. It's like a grocery store. It was a church, and so they had this stage already, and that's where they did their church services. We will ultimately get rid of that. That will be gone. But I thought in the short term it made sense to keep it. So, like for leading ladies, we're going to do our show up there on that stage.
So how many people will be able to sit in this space? This looks much bigger than.
This is massive. So this is when the church was here, they had 600 people in here. But so if you can see where that post is, right here by these tables. So from that post over is going to be our 300 seat theater. So we're going to put a wall in here.
Okay.
And this will be the theater, and it'll be a black box, very much like the Kennedy. We'll use it like the Kennedy. So we'll have our platforms that we put chairs on, and we can reconfigure the space in any way we want, in the round, proscenium, all that kind of stuff. We'll have full flexibility. We'll put in a lighting grid here. So it'll be great. And then up there, you can see that light peeking in, that would be like the backstage area. And then sort of talking through what I was also showing you on that schematic is from here over will be our smaller rehearsal space / performance area. And there'll be a hallway that goes between it. And then, you know, the people who are called like stage managers and the spot up tops will be able to go up to the second level and all the show from above and like, you know, do the spotlights and stuff above. And they can do it on both sides. And this will be, again, it'll have its own little grid, its own little sound system, so you can do performances in this other space too. It's just going to be smaller. You can see about 99. But it's big enough from these posts to this wall and to that wall that we can stage all of our rehearsals in here too if we want to. But we could also rent this up to do rehearsals in there as well. And then it's hard to tell, but like this area over here, behind these posts and where that little like balcony is, that's going to be all the scenic shop. And then wrapping around the back, we'll have the costume shop. And then coming around that corner will be where our backstage area is.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's got a lot of potential. We're not there yet. It'll be fun for us to take some pictures too when we do Leading Ladies because you can see how we'll dress the space up. Because we definitely are gonna, you know, create some theatrical magic in here and make it look, you know, really. And we're gonna kind of set grand piano and all that stuff up there for our concert. And again, social distance. We'll have like squares on the floor or whatever X's to make sure everybody.
Socially
stays
distance.
apart. Yeah. And we're gonna have tables and chairs, but we want to make sure that everybody's staying in their little pocket.
Very cool. I love it. I love it.
And the breaking too, we also have our offices here. Which I think you know very well if you're interested in that. We have a whole office area. We have 2 accessible bathrooms and non-gender neutral bathrooms and men and women's bathrooms. We have offices for myself and for Ashley, who I just say goodbye to, our box office manager. We have a kitchen where actors who are working backstage in this big 300 seat theater can use as a break room, etc. So we can actually walk that way if you want to. Might be interesting for people, or might
It's a cool space. Well, and for people who've been, you know, to Duke Energy Center and seen the small 15-weensy facilities, this is
Yeah, so it's like this will all be backstage because right where you just passed through, that will be a wall. And so all this will be open backstage, and the actors will be able to use this as their stage door. They can just drive up here, park here, and come in, sign in, and go to the dressing rooms. We'll have star dressing rooms over there, and you know we'll have ensemble dressing rooms over here. In the meantime, it's just a big room, but again, we're gonna blow this out and make it bigger. So we'll set this up cute for our girls and for our concert series. You know, we'll put little, you know, pipe and drape to separate people's areas so they have their own space. Yeah. But we're going to limit the time that they're back here, so we're not, you know, breaking any of those COVID rules.
yes.
And then if we go that way, which will eventually be our star dressing room. Right now, it's not. But then you round the corner and we'll go be heading back out to the lobby. And we'll pass the kitchen that I was telling you about, which I'm pretty proud of because Charlie and I did these floors ourselves. So we'll have a refrigerator and an oven and everything, so people can really, like, you know, when they're here, they can utilize this space to warm up their dinners and keep their lunches and stuff and have coffee and all that kind of stuff. And then this would be my office right here, which I've already moved in. I'm super happy about having my own, clean getaway. So,
Ooh, Jesse Gephardt, you got a big picture on the wall.
It's amazing, and my brother Michael on the bass. Just all these great shows that we've done. So yeah, that's
Oh, and you have the Bridges of Matt. I know you just had Janine DeVita on Living Room Live, but there's the Roseman Bridge.
The Roseman Bridge. Yeah, exactly. That was the one thing I got to keep. And then here we go, coming back out into our lobby, where we have, like I said, we have the bathrooms with accessible bathrooms, and we're gonna ultimately, once COVID is a thing of the past, we'll have seating areas and high top tables, a little couch, and
Very
we'll
cool.
have a donor wall, and we have more offices over here. So we're having everything in one place is going to be so ideal.
Because for people who don't know, the Scenic Shop, the rehearsal studio, and then the Black Box Theater that you were talking about, all different locations.
Yeah.
So,
It's all in one space.
so it's very
really
cool.
And the best part is that you have all this parking. So if you're coming to Theater Raleigh, you don't have to worry about paying to park or like the struggle of parking in downtown Raleigh. So we're hoping to make this feel super, super destination-like. And we're also hoping to, if you can see past the smiley face on the door, we're gonna put some festoon lights out there, make it look really cute. We're gonna put picnic tables so people can come, they can enjoy, they can get a drink from the bar. We'll have food trucks out here, things like that.
And we're not too far off of Capitol Boulevard, so there's plenty of dining
There's
options.
so much right there.
Between Old Wake Forest Road, there's plenty of places to.
There's a lot of places to eat and drink around here. So yeah, it's actually a really good location. And there's all kinds of plans about widening this road. So there's going to be a lot more traffic coming through. And they're even talking about putting a stoplight right here at the corner. So
Grant's first office was right across the street.
really?
When we first moved to Raleigh.
I mean, so I think there's a lot of potential here, and I think this is going to be more central than people expect. We have a lot of patrons that come from Chapel Hill. We have a lot of patrons that come from North Raleigh or Durham or Cary. Not just Raleigh, but I'm really hoping to maybe get even new audience members from
Wake Forest, I was going to say, it's right up the
So,
street
Yeah,
now.
it's so exciting.
So what do you need audiences to do now to support Theater Raleigh and to support this crazy new venture?
Well, I mean, keep supporting the arts, I guess, and coming to our virtual experiences that we're doing, not only Theater Raleigh, but every theater, because everybody really is struggling right now. So just kind of keeping that support going while we're trying to keep ourselves going, I think, is the main thing. And don't lose hope. I think theater will be back.
Theater will be
Theater
back.
will be back, and we are determined. Every artist I know is determined to come out the other side even stronger. So yeah, just keep supporting live theater in any way you can, whether that means donating or showing up for virtual experiences like all the amazing content that you're creating on RBU on Stage, and everybody is trying to do. So
Living Room Live, character building, you've got a lot going on. You just had Jeremy Jordan on. You're going to have Ariana DeBose on in November. So I'll put a link for people who are living under a rock, not following Theater Raleigh. I will put a link to your website and your social media as well so
Awesome.
people can find you.
yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Anyway, but thank you for doing this.
Yeah, of
Thank you
course.
all for joining us and kind of suffering through the raw footage of us, walking around, but it's a little sneak peek.
Yeah, let's make it.
And thank you, and just stay safe and healthy so
No, you too.
we can get back to it.
From your lips, but I have to tell you, you have been super inspiring, and a real cheerleader for this area, and I can't thank you enough. It's really important.
Well, I'm not putting the pom-poms away anytime soon until they let me come back to the theater, so.
I know.
But anyway, thank you, and thank you everyone for watching. Tomorrow night, Lauren will be with Juan and a fantastic panel of guests on Torn, so tune in for that at 7:30, and I'll see you at the theater. I can say I'll see you at the theater.
I love it so much. I will see you at the theater. Thank you.
Thank you.